We should go over what happened between Alan Dershowitz and legendary writer-comedian Larry David. First off, the backstory.
It's war between two legends, comedian Larry David and legal eagle Alan Dershowitz. The two former friends ran into each other on vacation on Martha's Vineyard. It happened at a quaint general store.
Larry came over and I said hello, and he said nothing, and I said, can't we talk? He said, no, you're disgusting. And he just continued to yell and scream at me. His face got red. I thought he was going to have a stroke.
Dershowitz says he was taken aback by the verbal barrage.
Let's not forget about Dershowitz. He has represented someone like Jeffrey Epstein.
Alex Acosta, who was Trump's labor secretary, he's the guy who signed off on the sweetheart deal that Alan Dershowitz negotiated for Epstein in 2008. Acosta says, I was told to lay off Epstein because he's with the intelligence services. Those are the words of Alex Acosta, apparently.
He wasn't told by me.
So, interestingly, whether he worked for the CIA or whether he worked for Mossad, and of course he had ties to Israel. He was best friends with Ehud Barak. He lived in Israel. He invested in Israeli companies.
Later.
Like, he had ties to Israel.
Nobody knew he was doing anything wrong. Once people found out he was accused of doing things wrong, they terminated their relationship with him, as I did. You can't blame somebody for being friendly with somebody.
You got him a great deal.
And not just that, he served on Donald Trump's first impeachment team, along with Ken Starr.
All you did is took that one little snippet, put it out of context, and had everybody attack me for something I didn't say, don't believe, and didn't even imply.
But what's wrong with looking at whether a president has corrupt intent in his actions? I mean, that seems to be the heart of the issue here. I mean, why is that something that's inappropriate for Congress?
It's not. It's not. The question is how you define corrupt.
Because of all of this, he had an embarrassing moment at a farmer's market in Martha's Vineyard.
I'd ask you to please just sell me any one of your products to show that you're prepared to sell to anybody and not allow your anti-Zionism to decide which people will sell. You'll sell to.
Ethan, this man is calling me an anti-Zionist.
Excuse me, this man is a saint. I also offer you this book, which I signed it to you to Krem. Please learn the truth.
Thank you so much, Alan. Thank you so much. I'm very surprised that you're here because of the things that you've been saying about us and the business.
No, just you.
Remember me from Epstein Island?
Oh, it's
Lolita.
It's Lolita.
It's Lolita, everybody.
This is what the Vineyard has become.
Would you like a pierogi?
Can you put it in my mouth? Is it true that you said the reasonable age of consent is 15? You didn't ignore me on Epstein Island.
It's very important that the public... You don't think this constitutes harassment?
Officer, I'm with him.
Sir,
we're together.
I've been advised that he feels harassed by you. I am requesting that you give him some space and stop that.
Am I being detained?
Not at this time. I'm asking you to discuss it with me.
No, thank you.
Basically, the pierogi vendor refused to sell any of their food to Dersh, not because of his ridiculous support for Israel, but because of the people he has chosen to defend in court. Their post read, when he came to our booth, I experienced surge of emotion. In this case, what was in the forefront of my mind was, in fact, that this was the high-profile attorney who represented several sexual predators and abusers, including Epstein. I personally know too many sexual abuse survivors. Dershowitz consciously decided to befriend and defend men who have been accused of abusing and harming women. We don't back down to bullies, no matter their size. With David, he is clearly not a fan of Alan Dershowitz, clearly not a fan of Donald Trump and the Make America Great Again movement. And just to show it one more time, because I absolutely love it, this clip will live in the Louvre one day.
Obviously, a big part of this show is the MAGA hat.
for the first show, yeah.
Right. There are people that wear the MAGA hat and like what the MAGA hat represents. Are you afraid about alienating them? They could be fans of the show.
Alienate yourselves. Yeah. Go and alienate. You have my blessing. No, I could give a
Thus, outside of the Chillmark General Store, David refused to shake the lawyer's hand and called him disgusting. To this day, Dershowitz will not STFU about this incident, and he even revisited it with The Atlantic. And this is recent. He would tell the outlet, Larry David doesn't talk to me anymore. He screams and yells at me when he sees me. Dershowitz would recall loving Curb, but he can't stomach it anymore. He also uses past tense rhetoric when speaking of Larry David. The piece details that in Dershowitz's eyes, it's an active feud. David clearly disagrees with all this. When contacted by the writer Mark Leibovich, Larry David would write in an email, I don't know why he's still thinking and talking about me, adding, I have lots of confrontations on my show, but rarely in life. And then only if I think I can take them in a fight, hence the Dershowitz dust-up. So the writer, Leibovich, would add further context that I'll read to all of you. For all of Dershowitz's stories, where he claims he is just so loathed, he is so despised, everyone just hates him, they hate his guts. Whether it's because of his Trump support, which, by the way, he said he would not say he voted for Trump because, in his words, he is hiding behind his wife because his wife doesn't want him to say who he voted for. It's fairly obvious on that one. But many of the tales, it seems, of these confrontations are one of two things. Started by Alan Dershowitz himself or just completely made up. Dershowitz claims, for instance, that he's no longer asked to speak at the Martha's Vineyard Book Festival because they censor anybody they disagree with. A spokesperson for the festival would tell the writer in an email that Alan's claim is, quote, completely false, and that, quote, the festival lineup over the past 2 decades hardly reflects a narrow or excluding agenda. What I find to be rather ironic in all of this is that Larry David is basically saying, why is he still bringing this up? I don't understand why he's bringing this up. And it reminds me of Bill frickin' Maher. Bill Maher will not let go of Larry David writing that masterpiece of an op-ed. When Bill Maher, if you recall, went and had dinner with Trump, Dana White, other cronies, and he basically said, oh, he was just so great. He was just so joyous, blah, 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 blah. And Larry David ripped him for it. You know what Bill Maher has done? He has been on a never-ending crusade to discuss Larry David over and over again, whether it is Club Random, whether it is Real Time. He takes shots whenever he possibly can. Larry David already knocked you out, dude. Why are you trying to get up for the 15th round when we've already gone 12? The similarities are uncanny at this point. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/TYTsports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you could follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.